let the chaos begin. You're listening to Fools Rush In, where the passion and the chaos wins. Winter town pride, loud within. This is where the game and fun begin. You're listening to Fools Rush In, where the passion and the chaos wins. Winter town pride, loud within. This is where the game and fun begin. Grab a seat, grab a drink, let the chaos begin. Grab a seat, grab a drink, let the chaos begin. Grab a seat, grab a drink, let the chaos begin. Grab a seat, grab a drink, let the chaos begin. You're listening to Fools Rush In, where the passion and the chaos wins. Winter town pride, now within. This is where the game and fun begin. You're listening to Fools Rush In, where the passion and the chaos wins. Winter town pride, now within. This is where the game and fun begin.
Good evening, everyone, from a slightly chilly East Midlands on a night where there's been a burst water mains not far from my house, so I have no water. And once again, my internet has decided to not play. So while my audio seems to be fine, I'm going to be looking like something out of the 1990s, bipping about the screen at 0 pace per minute, much like some of our players, it would appear. But we do have all the usual suspects: intro questions, Swindon Town chat, and women's football roundup to catch you up on. As always, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. So whatever medium you're choosing to attempt to watch me on, I assure you, you can join the live chat, much like James has done, who unfortunately can't watch us tonight, but he wanted to say hello. Hopes the criticism of Palmer stops. So bored of it. It was class the first half, v Bromley. Well, I can't promise you the world, but I promise you there will be at least a balanced mix of praise and criticism, if nothing else, because there are some of us who think he does things right and plenty of us who thinks he does things wrong. 3 losses in a row, says Elliot. Oh, you bloody know I'm back. Yes, People say turns up when we're winning to Wazza. Elliot only turns up when we're losing. Yes, Swindon Town, who didn't lose back-to-back games in 2025, have now lost 3 in a row in all competitions. What has gone wrong in 2026? That is what our panel will be discussing tonight. And then he follows up with second half performance or 5e's Wi-Fi battle of the stinkers. Indeed. And I'm not sure why. I was explaining to one of our panelists that I have done everything to try and fix this. I've done the whole IT trick of switching everything off. The whole internet's moved. I just don't know why. Because this was fine on Friday when it was me and Ben. I don't know why it's going wrong on Monday nights. But hey, we'll get there eventually. And it's not me you want to watch and listen to anyway. It is our panel of all-stars. And we have a little something for everyone tonight. This is possibly the best-looking array of fools I could possibly get you on a Monday night. Good evening, Rob. Hope you are well, pal. In fact, before I say hello, let's get the intro question out so they can start thinking about it and we can rock on with the show. Tonight's intro question is simply this. Football aside, what is something that you are either too competitive, uber competitive at? To give you an idea, I have 2 for me. I am uber competitive at both Mario Kart and air hockey. They are my 2 things that I am uber competitive at. I hate losing. And the worst one for me on Mario Kart is when you go to like an arcade in a bowling alley, because you don't get to pick your car. It's like the random button selector. So there's always something to blame if you don't win. But me, Yoshi, and a motorbike, we tend to win on the old. It's not a Switch anymore, is it? It's no, yeah, it is a Switch. It's not a DS. It's a Switch that we've got. But there's mine anyway. Mario Kart and air hockey. Let's start saying hello to people who aren't bipping about the screen. About the screen. I'm going to struggle tonight, I can tell. Have I done an internet speed test? Yes, I did one about 15 minutes before we came on air. Everything seems to be fine. If it's SNES or N64 Mario Kart, I'd win. If you've got a SNES or an N64, Mike, next time I'm down your way, we will play Mario Kart, especially the N64 one. Absolutely loved it. He did also send an evening message. Anyway, someone who I know is ticks all the boxes that I've said. Very good looking, uber competitive. And what else did I say? Has an opinion on plenty of things. Like I say, this is borderline a question time panel tonight. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, back for his second appearance of 2026 already. We're not even at the end of January. Evening, Mark.
Evening all. How are we doing?
Very well, thank you, pal. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Another Monday's come round again. Another fantastic Monday. Swindon performance to talk about this evening.
There's so much to digest, and we were having a conversation off air. You have a lot to say.
Oh, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I better not. I better keep me powder dry for now, otherwise we'll never get anyone else on.
How have you been, mate? It's only been a week since we've seen you, or possibly just over. I can't remember which one it was you're on now, but already back again, and you've made a commitment. You want to really up your appearances in 2026.
Yeah, I'm aiming for two a month, at least 2 a month this year. I'm going to try and take Ben's perch from him this year. So it's it's a nice objective. Obviously, I could have gone to the cinema tonight, but obviously I've chosen the correct priority, I think.
I love, and this is, and that's obviously a joke for the group that won't be understood public, but I love that everyone is gunning for Ben's appearances at the minute. Like, everyone's like, I just want more appearances than Ben. I mean, he has become a work-shy liability for fools. He did a one-on-one episode with me on Friday, his only appearance this season so far, promised the world he would be back today, and has dumped us at the first opportunity to go to the cinema. So I love that everyone is gunning to just do more appearances than him.
Well, I think it's an erstwhile objective, and one we should all aspire to. Let's see if Ben gets himself back on track as the months go on. Hey, Rob.
Rob says, good evening. Elliot says, honestly, think Fifey would get better Wi-Fi on his phone if he turned on airplane mode and sitting at home. You're probably right. I honestly don't know what's happened to this. I will fix it, I promise, at some point. Unfortunately, Lippo, who says we need glass half full Ben tonight, you're getting no Ben. He promised you he'd be here, and he's let you down. So I encourage, I'm not one for online bullying at all, but I encourage anyone watching this to just tweet him, or X him, whatever the correct term is these days, and just tell him he's a liability. You're not angry, you're just disappointed, because he should be here, and he's not let me down, he's let you down. You heard the intro question, Mark, and I saw you nodding when I said the words Mario Kart. Is that something that you're also uber competitive at?
We play Mario Kart 8 fairly frequently on the Nintendo Switch, and that does get very competitive, particularly since over Christmas we paid for the expansion pack for the additional tracks, which are awesome, by the way. Rainbow Road is a particular favourite of my youngest's, and he's a
absolute psychopath behaviour.
Self-proclaimed best at that track in his own little world. As you know, I have to make sure that I rinse him. I can't not do it. It's just
it's important the kids learn to lose, Mark. It's important.
It's very, very important. And then when you get the red and blue shells fired at you, particularly when you're close to the finish line, I could have thrown that controller on a number of occasions. But there we'll save that for another day. We all know what I'm talking about. Air hockey is another one. Oscar and I play air hockey quite a bit, particularly if we're on holiday and stuff like that, and that gets very, very competitive. I do try and allow the scores to be fairly even for a while, but when you let in a couple that you didn't mean to let in, kind of the worm does turn, and you have to go the other way. But those two aside, Dobble, the card game, if anyone's ever played it, this like matching. There's something on you draw 2 cards. There's something matching on either one of the cards. With the kids, that gets very competitive as well. And there's often becomes almost like a game of cheat, where everyone's calling out what they think they can see as a pair in an attempt to scam the cards. So it is a family thing, but all light-hearted bants, so to speak. But games are competitive; they're meant to be, right? So
well, this is it. It's like as a parent, and I try and be a responsible parent, I've always brought Aidan up to say it's the taking part that counts. But unlike some people. Like that was obviously the phrase when I was growing up as well. It's the taking part that counts. But I add on the little caveat at the end. But if you're not playing to win, don't bother playing.
Yeah, agreed. Don't disagree with that at all.
It's all about mentality.
It's the same as I say to the kids that turn up when they play football on a Sunday. We don't turn up to lose each week, and they'll look at you as if to say, "Well, obviously," and that's the whole point. I can't guarantee the result, but you go out there and you try and win, right? That's why you play football or any sport.
The thing is, you'll understand it as well. Like Aidan's at an age now where, although I can still outweigh him when we're play fighting, he can hit hard now, and he understands buttons on the Switch now. So it's a lot, it's not like letting people win. Like he can genuinely beat me at stuff now. So now I'm trying, and I'm really trying to win. And if I don't win, like you say on Mario Kart, if that blue shell comes out as I'm about to cross the line, I'm very close to saying words that I would never traditionally say in general day-to-day life.
Very valid point. Yeah, and I can't play Oscar at FIFA any longer. He's far superior than I am now. That worm turned about 3 years ago, but not a chance in hell now that I can beat him at that.
Lipo says character Toad. I'm a Yoshi guy. Always have been, always will be.
Yeah, I like Shy Guy. Shy Guy is always a good value as well.
And Rob says very important to learn to lose, as we all have following Swindon. Indeed. It's been a big... This is why I'm so adamant that I win Mario Kart, because I'm bored of losing other things. And Elliot says, losing air hockey is actually worse than dropping your phone on your face in bed. Truly feel it in your soul. Well, look, I promised an all-star cast tonight, a 5aside team, and this is only 2. So sit back and relax for a bit, Mark, as we welcome the others. I also promised one of the best-looking panels we've ever assembled, so it's only right we get our next handsome young man on. Good evening, Nick.
Oh, good evening. How are you, Fifey?
Very well, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. All good this end of the world.
Good, very, very glad to hear it. No burst water mains, no dodgy Wi-Fi for you?
No, I'll happily say I can put aside and not worry about burst water mains anymore. It used to be the bane of my life, but especially when we had large burst mains, it took whole cars across the road and flooded properties out. They weren't nice, but no more of that, thankfully.
Elliot's carrying on the theme of tonight's intro question. He says, football manager, though, core, nothing worse than beating the big 6 than getting spanked by Brentford away. That's just the life of a Man United fan, isn't it? And then he also says that Nick is looking gorgeous. Gorgeous, Nick. What can I say?
Steady
Nick,
on.
outside of football, are you competitive by nature? You've heard the intro question, things that aren't football that you're uber competitive about?
Any game that I play against my daughter, because she is
It's always the
very
kids, isn't it? It's
competitive.
always the kids.
But yeah, we bought, or she bought a little pinball game at Christmas, and that nearly gets not thrown, but vibrates off the table because we're both going at it so hard. It is a word game. I can't remember what it's called, where you pick a word from a card, and then you have to find the letter that word starts with, and it's timed, and we're bang 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 on that. So yeah, any game against my daughter. But the one thing I did, actual physical sport, and I mean, going back some time, we had a team bonding evening, as all these corporate places do. We went go-karting, and
Nice.
and I mean, I wasn't winning it, but there was just one particular person that I was desperate to beat, and we were virtually taking each other off the track, and it was like I was just pumped. Yeah, so anything like that. But talking about the learning to lose, we're teaching that to my grandson, because he doesn't like losing, and we're having to say to him, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but as long as you try your hardest, that's what you have to do. But he follows after his mum. He doesn't like losing at all. He does. Sometimes he's only 3.5, but he does get the ump.
It's funny when kids get the ump as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, let's bring the fourth member of tonight's 5aside team on, a man who we all know hates to lose with a passion. Evening, Craig.
Hey, yeah, evening, chaps. How are we all doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I mean, best looking panel. Let's face it, it's not a high bar, is it, amongst the fools? But I'll take what I can get, mate. So yeah, but
I might have to bring Rate the Fools back this year.
Yes, yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, I'm okay. It's just dry January is dragging at the moment, and Swindon Town FC are not helping in that regard. So yeah, only a few more.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so me drinking my blackcurrant and blackberry Cornish cider isn't really the motivation you need tonight?
No, not really. I mean, I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I'll be having my first beer on Saturday, the 31st, but I've been dry since Boxing Day, so I'm quite, yeah, I think it still counts. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that beer and hopefully a Swindon win as well.
Now, as one of our top athletes in amongst the FRI ranks, you are competitive by nature. But outside of football, you've heard some of the ones that me, Mark, and Nick have said. What are you uber competitive at? You strike me, for example, as someone who is uber competitive at chess.
No, I don't know how to play chess, mate. And actually, I'm not that competitive. I pretty much don't give a shit, to be honest. I'm just one of those people. I'm not. I never have been, really. Maybe that's why I support Swindon. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I guess I think it was Elliot was saying Football Manager. The amount of times I nearly launched my laptop through the window, it's a bit worrying. That's about as much as I get animated. I mean, my girlfriend wants me to be a bit more competitive as well. She's asked me to play Wordle.
Can you share this online, Craig?
Yes, I can. Yeah, she wants me to play Wordle against her, but I'm not too keen. I mean, Wordle is just Scrabble for nonces, so I'm not too. I'm not too keen about that. But yeah, I guess like I said, Football Manager, but also when we do defend the indefensible, because I do go for it, even though I get like I think one of the ones. My best one was about me defending that it would, criticising train drivers for going on strike. And I absolutely nailed it. I totally sold my occupation down the river, went against my union, and I fucking killed it, mate. I absolutely killed it. That's how competitive I am. I'm willing to do that. Sell my soul. I'd sell my soul, mate, just to win Defend the Indefensible. So there's the answer.
Nice, I love it, mate. I love it. Well, it's great to have you on tonight, and again, someone else I'm sure who has plenty to say on our recent form, if nothing else. That is only 4. I promised you 5, and the 5th man of this this crazy boy band that we're assembling is in the lobby. He is probably the lead singer. He has the voice of an angel and the track record of an Olympic god. Good evening, Woody.
That might be the best introduction I've ever had, so I might have to add that.
Clip that.
Clip that. I hope the old AI generator picks that up.
Yeah, we've got AI
afterwards.
generator on. Craig, you don't know this yet, or you haven't made it public, but if any of us shout clip that, apparently we get 6 clips an episode that will automatically generate afterwards. So if we ever start up TikTok again, we got little clips ready to go.
Oh, brilliant.
There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome, Woody. Congratulations on your first win at your club at the weekend. Well done. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Well, first win since the season started, anyway. But no, I was happy. We played well. We played better in the conditions at their pitch. So yeah, won't shout too much about it, but we definitely took it as a victory, given the opposition we were playing against are decent. So yeah, it's good, but unfortunately, it's only the league that counts. So we've got to take that into this weekend. So
the way it's been going the last week or two, we will accept any wins we can talk about.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking, Swindon are on a bad run of form, and now my lot are starting to kick up. So is there something? Is there some sort of twist in the fate there that Swindon play shit, and then my lot start to play really well? So no, but I was well chuffed with them. So yeah, although I was rushed back and today from training. It's starting to get cold tonight. Luckily, that bad weather warning hasn't come in yet. But I was rushing upstairs. Arlo wanted me to sort something down on his app. So I thought, Jesus Christ, pod starts in 5 minutes. I totally forgot that there was 5 of us on tonight, and I knew I wouldn't get on for 25 minutes. So I missed the intro question, but I think I've worked out what it might be. But it's
all right. The intro question, Woody, is football aside, something that you are too competitive, uber competitive at. If you missed any of it so far, basically it's anything to do with the kids. It seems to be a recurring answer. Defending indefensible is Craig's. I've said Mario Kart and air hockey, which Mark agreed with, and Nick said anything where he gets to compete with his daughter, basically.
Yeah, well, I'm going to sound like a right bastard of a dad now. I actually get annoyed that when my kids aren't very good at things. But I think that's because of their ages now. Like, you kind of get like I expect if we played like Fortnite or something like that now, Arlo would destroy me. But yeah, I remember when, similar to Mark's story, we used to love like the Switch and the Wii when it was the Wii, etc. I used to get quite competitive on that. When I used to go around friends' houses and stuff like that, that's when I was uber competitive with things like that. You can't beat an old-fashioned competitive game of Monopoly. I was always that bastard that bought everything on the way round and then didn't buy anything for 2 rounds. and then so everybody was like, oh no, you've got like 1 and I've got like 2 of those. So I used to really bend it. But so now I'd say my kids probably aren't old enough really, apart from Melek, to really say it's anything against my kids. But I just think I'm competitive in nature anyway, so I don't like losing. Although I have managed to control that a lot better this season. So I'd probably say anything on the Wii or the Nintendo Switch as well.
Mate, some of the conversations me and you have had, even particularly some of the one-on-one conversations we've had, I know how much you don't like losing. It's very clear to me how much you don't like losing.
There's some things you can discuss with the individuals of FRI out of the fear of probably being reported to somebody. If you,
absolutely,
yeah. Even the trust circle of FRI hasn't quite reached that level yet. Sometimes.
So please do let us know, chat. Anyone watching, what are some of the things that you are uber competitive about outside of football? In the meantime, I'm going to get my merry men here to tell me why going to Notts County tomorrow is a good idea, because Swindon Town as I said in the intro, are on a poor run of form, 3 defeats in a row in all competitions, conceded 8 goals in those games, which is strange because, and I'm going to get the first stat wrong, but I think it was something stupid, like only conceded 2 goals in 8 games before that, and hadn't lost back-to-back games in over a year, and now suddenly we can't even get a draw. Ian Holloway, in one of his more honest assessments for my liking, and I was very shocked that it got posted the way it did, but described Swindon's second half performance as shite on the club's official website, and said he felt like, what was the actual phrase he used? It's like our arsehole fell out of us, I think was the term he used. Refreshingly honest. And that's after a first half against the league leaders in which Swindon were very good and were winning. So, Mark, where did it all go wrong?
That's an interesting half time, most likely, because they came out like a shower of shit in the second half, as Holloway quite rightly said. Conceding a goal in the first minute is never ideal of any half of a game. And the manner that we conceded it, obviously Bromley were playing for set pieces, demanding the ball every time there was a chance for a free kick or a corner, or it's our ball if it's a throw in. You can see what they're good at and what where they want the ball and how they're going to use it. The thing that we got right in the first half was they didn't overload our box when attacking, and that changed in that moment. They completely peppered that box with players, and they got a goal which essentially left us shell shocked. Now, rather than take that on the chin and go back to doing what we were good at in the first half, we then proceeded to play lump the ball up to the forwards or lump the ball into the channels, and it just completely fell to pot. In terms of where it went wrong, I don't think our more experienced players like Ball or Wright lent into the game plan that worked so well in the first half. I think they were probably the chief culprits for getting the ball and kicking it as far as they can. Nobody was really helping support Kilkenny in midfield in the second half. He was well shackled, didn't get any time to turn or spin on the ball. And that in itself presents us with a real creative problem. And to compound matters, taking Holman off, regardless of the fact that other players deserve minutes, and I completely understand that approach, but Holman was the only creative outlet in that second half that looked like he was going to make something happen. And to take him off at the expense of Drinnan, who was not having one of his better games, or Palmer, who, to be fair, or Palmer, to be fair, and again, I'm not going to chastise Palmer because he was asked to do a slightly different role and he was effective to an extent, but Drinnan or Palmer would probably have been the right substitution rather than Holman, and just let him carry on because he had that exuberance and that energy that you want to see from young players looking to prove themselves in the game. And ironically, when he came out the other day and said that he was going to score 10 goals this season, that's what he was definitely going to do. That went back to like shades of Simon Cox, shades of Sam Parkin, shades of those players that you can kind of see it in their manner and their sort of self-belief that they're going to do it. And to get his first goal was superb. But yeah, second half was where it all went wrong, and the substitutions just compounded it. We knew what Bromley were going to do. We didn't take our opportunities when they would have made a difference. And yeah, such a shame, really. It definitely a missed opportunity for something out of that match.
Nick, our good friend Lepo, has decided that taking charge of the situation and sending in actual proper questions to make this seem something of a football show. First one touches on something that Mark said there. We need Clark back, don't we? His experience makes us less lightweight. Now, Holloway, somewhat sarcastically in his pre-match today, when the first time he was asked, said yes, he's back available and should be selected. Then proceeded later on to sarcastically say, I hope he's available to play. And if we do select him to play, I hope we're not reported for playing him.
Yeah, I haven't seen his pre-match. I think just going on the reasons for Saturday is obviously, I would think Bromley got a right bollocking at half time. He must have tore into his players. I didn't see any of the game. I've only seen the clips that Ian puts on the internet of the action, so I didn't see the game. So I'd imagine they got a right bollocking. And like Mark said, that goal within a minute of the second half puts you on the back foot. But experienced players didn't help the situation. The problem is it's not so much the midfield, although I've argued that that's the critical part of the team. Defensively, and I've just had a look at it earlier, in the last 9 games, we haven't had a consistent defence. Whether it's a back 3, a back 4, or 5 at the back. And I've looked at it, how many players have played consecutive games in those 9? And the one who's played the most of 5 games is Munro, who's no longer with us. The next one after that is Taff. And Taff, Wright, and Knight LaBelle, who've each played 3 consecutive games. And then the others, it's either 2, and then or they've just played a single game. So we haven't had a consistent defence. Now that can't help anyone. And obviously Ripley's comes in for a lot of stick. But if you got the defensive unit changing all the time, that doesn't help him. And I'm not saying he's got a level of blame for that winning goal that they got, but it can't help him where there's so much change. So for me, the problem is that defensively is swapped around far, far too much. And just on the basis that consecutive games for players. and the ironic thing is Taft's played the last 3 games and we've lost all of them. So,
The thing is
explain
with that,
it.
The thing is that's actually some great analysis you've done there. But the question is, what do we do about it? Because while I completely agree with what you're saying, we're clearly missing Knight LaBelle, but he's injured and he's going to be injured for another week. So we know he's missing the next 2 games at least. Tafazoli's come in and supposed to be our experienced defender, but he's been, like you say, he's been part of a defence that conceded the 8 goals, and he's been as disappointing as anybody in those games.
100%.
Wilson Brown's coming back from fitness, and he's been asked to play left back sometimes, a left centre back the others. Now, he's good enough to do so, and I still maintain, I know there's a debate between him and Mabete, but I maintain that Wilson Brown's our best defender. But he's been asked to do 2 different jobs.
Woody's Wi-Fi is back.
Can you not hear me at all?
Yeah, you're back now.
Oh, okay. How far did I get?
Yeah, I didn't lose you at all.
Oh, okay, fine. And then Will Wright is Will Wright. We know what we're getting from him. Sometimes it'll be class, sometimes it won't. That's just the way it is. So how do you solve the problems that you've identified, Nick?
I can't answer that, to be honest. It's just, and obviously Mabete being out injured again, that was a big blow because I think, like a lot of us think, he's been one of our best defenders. And yeah, we have had injuries, and I know that's part and parcel. But it just seems there's too many changes where it hasn't been necessary. Now you can't stop if players are suspended or injured. There's not much you can do about that. You try and put like for like, but again, he's been switching from like sometimes a back 3, and then he's gone to a 4. And then he's got the 2 wing backs, and again playing players sometimes out of position, and moving players around and not playing in a natural position. Where with the players that you've got of the 11, they could play in their natural position. So I think Holloway's got to take a lot of responsibility for how he's setting the team up defensively, because in the recent weeks it hasn't worked. And I appreciate, like you say before, I think it was 3 goals in 8 games or so, but 2 bangers and a penalty. So it was working, but something has gone dreadfully wrong in the last few games.
Well, Woody, before we move on, let's bring you in on this one. What has stopped a solid defence and now become a leaky defence, and how do we fix it again?
Well, the thing is I agree that the change in consistency with the defence is an issue in itself, but these combinations have actually been happening the majority of the season. We've been changing the defense quite a lot of the season. So whilst I agree with Nick, it doesn't help. I don't think it's unusual. I think the problem is, and I think we found this even with the Welland side, even with arguably with Garner's side, sides that arguably brought some sort of success that year. You hit a bad turn of form, and whether you're a player or a team, it's going to have an impact on you, and it's about that recovery. I mean, obviously, how do we correct this? The only way us Swindon fans are probably going to be, or any football fans will be happy, is if we don't lose the next game. And to be fair, if we concede 4 and score 6, I know when we get back to that outscoring method again, then we won't be talking. We'll be talking a little bit about the defence, but it won't be the key subject. So the problem is at the moment is it's these little individual errors that are costing us games. I think all of 6 Salford's goals, for example, were pretty much an individual error somewhere. It wasn't necessarily a great bit of play by one individual. And Bromley, obviously, we'll talk about that later. But the thing is you could work on it all you want in training, and this is why my concern about the timing of our run at the moment is because he hasn't got that much time to work on it in training. He hasn't got, because we are playing every 3 to 4. But let's, for argument's sake, we're playing every 3 days because you've got to take a day out for the day rest anyway. So we're pretty much playing every 3 days. Now that's similar for a lot of teams, and that's not that a problem. But the only way you can correct it is via this analysis, and then hope that your players correct it the next game in terms of don't make that mistake again. But we haven't got the personnel, like you've just said, in defence anyway at the moment, because we haven't got Knight LaBelle. Clark is obviously coming back in and can fill there. Phil Mabete is out injured. Tafazoli's going through every player goes through a low confidence stage. He's obviously in that stage at the moment, same as Connor Ripley. So I just think, as much as it's a cop-out answer, we just hope it corrects itself tomorrow night and we get back onto this form again, because, like I say, form is only temporary at the end of the day.
Craig, just on the back of what Woody said there, I'm just doing a quick count to make sure it's correct. Since the turn of the year, and we have had postponements, which you feel would help with fatigue, etc. But between our first game on New Year's Day and, say, Harrogate next Tuesday, that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in January, of which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have been away. How much do you think that might be having an effect? Just not so much playing the games away, but 5 out of 7 seems excessive.
It sometimes happens like that, don't it? I don't think that's anything unusual, and they're professional footballers at the end of the day. I know it's like, home you're supposed to be better because you're not travelling and everything, but I wouldn't personally read too much into that. Obviously we're playing that amount of games because of we've had success in the cups, haven't we? And we've been wanting success in the cups, and but we can't have it both ways. We can't turn around and say, well, it's too many games now, so we need to focus on the league. Obviously, both those competitions have been taken out of most likely will be taken out of the equation for us. So I don't think it's too much different to any other team. I don't think that's what's affected our form. We're apparently, I don't say apparently, we have got a good squad, not just in numbers, but in quality and in depth. So I really don't think that's an issue, whether it's 9 games in a month, and even if the majority of them are away from home. But it's a bit disappointing. I was saying this before. I really like this team. I really like the recruitment that's been done. And, for the first time in a long time, I haven't liked the recruitment that's been done at this club since the Ghana season. This is proper recruitment that we've done. We have got a good team. We have got a good squad, and we are good enough on our day to go up. I like these players. I like Holloway. after having reservations initially when we first appointed him. And I think he's the man that can turn it, he can turn this around and get us up. Seeing him so angry in that press conference, that was good to see. Could you imagine if that was Mark Kennedy? He'd have said that was one of our best performances of the season, and he'd have said like Tafazoli had a really good game or something. Because that was the sort of, we were used to bullshit, whereas Holloway says it as it is, and he did in that game, to be fair to him. So I'm pleased with that. But it's good that, we have got this, this team is good enough to go up. But, once those players cross the line, if they don't do what they're told, and you've got to ask yourself why, we've all seen Holloway's press conference where he said he doesn't know why they didn't play the way they did in the first half, in the second half. I said it, our front three, we had Palmer, Holman and Drinan, they looked so effective as a front three that first half. They were really effective. And I was thinking maybe we've actually found something for Palmer where we can get the best out of him playing in that sort of, just behind the front two. He's been, I haven't been harsh in criticism on him because I think fans were getting a little bit overexcited.
He's your brother from another mother.
Well, this is true as well, but yeah, I think people just overplayed the whole thing because he was at Wrexham, FC Hollywood. If he'd come from any other team, I don't think the hype would have been, and the expectations wouldn't have been as high for him. But yeah, we just looked so effective that first half, but then in the second half, we just didn't. And obviously, maybe that goal early on did play its part, and the players just decided to, to go their own way. But surely during that game, I mean, it's not the loudest stadium. Surely there was coaches telling them, look, what are you doing? Why are you hoofing the ball up against Bromley? It's not going to work. They'd have been briefed about that before the game started. So it is a strange one.
Because Holloway was visually and audibly not happy that basically team instructions, as far as we could tell, were being ignored, and the players decided themselves this is what they were going to do. Why do you think, again, it was pointed out earlier, I can't remember if it was Mark or Nick said, but we had a lot of our experienced players on the pitch at that point. Why do you think they decided that going against team instructions was the best way to hold on to a lead?
It's a puzzler, isn't it? I mean, all right, the subs that we brought on in the second half are young subs, they're fairly young, but you'd have thought they'd have come on and said, look, this is what the gaffer wants us to do. We need to start doing that again. But obviously that didn't work. But yeah, I just, but also we've got to give credit to Bromley. They are a better team than us. They're better than us, just like Salford are better than us. They will be the top two. I mean, I said that before. After Salford beat us the first time, I reckon that they'll be the top two, and all right, Bromley's already broken away, but I reckon Salford will as well, and then it's going to be a free for all between third and possibly 12th at the moment for that last automatic spot. And I think it was Elliot, might have been Elliot earlier, saying if we end up in the playoffs, when it comes down to big games, we, especially recently, we've been found wanting, and yeah, so we're getting into that automatic spot, or somehow trying to keep pace with Salford and maybe Bromley, and hope that they hit a bad patch and stay up there. But we need to start getting back-to-back wins. That's what it that's what it boils down to. But I just see Jay saying about them being long ball merchants. Well, you look at the majority of the teams historically that have got out of this league, they've been long ball merchants over the years. Many of them have been. So yeah, they are a better team than us. That the table doesn't lie. If that reverses at the end of the year,
they might not play better football, but they're a better team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's different styles of football. There's different styles of football that are more effective than others, especially in League Two. So yeah, we might be the better footballing team, but if we don't get promoted, it doesn't mean anything.
And the problem, like with this comment, if we were clinical, though, we would have won easily. Yeah, but the problem is we're not. We're not clinical. Drinnan's gone off the boil a little bit, and I'm not holding any responsibility to him for that because he's scored so many goals already this season. I'm sure he will still score plenty, but he needs other people to chip in, and it's just not happening. Holman himself, I mean, he's been praised for his performance, but he could have had 4 with ease on Saturday, but he didn't, and that is something that needs to be addressed. Mark, I'm going to come back to you with Lee Post's second question that was posed a while ago now. I refer to him as Mo, but I'm going to say this. Is Oleg Big going to be like Prince Will? Good initially, but no end product?
It's funny because we were talking about this off air and his sort of first performance against Luton. There was a lot of people raving about that particular game and how well he did in that. I didn't necessarily see that. I was kind of a little bit nonplussed by what he'd offered in that game, but I wasn't going to make any particular judgment. He was fantastic in the first game against, was it the first or second game against Salford where we got the 2 assists? I forget, they're both the same scoreline. And he certainly has something to offer there, but I think by trade he knows how to play as a winger as opposed to a wide forward. So there's a bit of transition there to be done in terms of how the team's going to play. And I think it's probably a little bit too early to expect fireworks from him, but he's got pace. The concept was sold that he's very good in the 1v1 scenario. He likes to take his players on and go for it. Need to see a bit more of that, but then again, he hasn't necessarily had the game time yet to show us what he can do. Is he a better player than Princeville? I would hope so. He's coming from a Premier League academy, as opposed to a League One, a Championship side one. But time will tell. It's too early to say. But he's already got 2 goal contributions, which I think is what Princeville had given us in the total of his time with us. So, arguably, he's already a better player on that basis.
H. Duck has messaged in IX. Good evening, H. Evening, fools. Sorry if it's already been mentioned, but are you doing a watch along tomorrow? As it stands. Also, Mark, go on.
I was going to say, I don't think it's one that's on Sky Plus, so I might have to.
All Tuesday games were.
This one, ours isn't.
No, it showed Mark. It does show it as being on.
Does it?
So I had a look through earlier today, and it was showing it as being available.
It is.
So basically, all the games.
That's my bad. It definitely is. For some reason, I thought it was not on.
Yeah, somebody said it wasn't. Yeah, someone posted that.
I think it's Harrogate that's not going to be, because Harrogate was originally a 3:00 kickoff.
No, I'm in France that weekend anyway, Woody. So.
Oh yeah.
Always good.
To answer the question, H, there's no plans for a watch along because half of the fools are actually going to be in Nottingham. However, if the other half that aren't want to do a watch along, I'm happy to leave the login details for someone if they want to host it. We can sort that out. But at the minute, there's no plans as far as I'm aware. And Mike says it is on. It only came up this afternoon on the app. Woody, as our resident tactical legend, should we say? The third and final question submitted by Lipo earlier was, have we finally found a position that works for Palmer? The previous flick-on style led to nothing.
Well, I mean, obviously, as all of our viewers will know, I've been very critical of Palmer the last few weeks. And second half aside, to a certain extent, that was definitely in the first half, probably one of the best 45 minutes I've seen him play in a Swindon shirt, to be fair. I thought that it was a lot more effective. I think, and it did get me thinking about this kind of when he flicks it on, when he actually does win the headers, and he manages to flick it on. If he's the 9 anyway, you're asking still quite a lot for your wide forwards to make a narrow run, because nobody headers to the side, everybody headers backwards. But yeah, I thought it suited him. For a big guy, he's got a bit of the Peter Crouch effect. He isn't too bad when the ball is just played to his feet. And he did link up play quite well. And I think it did work having, what seemed to be obviously Drinnan and Holman either side and in front. So, kind of almost like that reverse front three that we wouldn't expect. Normally you expect a pivotal point at number 9 and then 2 playing off. But we no, I think it did work. I thought he was very good in the first half, actually. For me, obviously, I can never remember the saying, but it doesn't mean I've changed my opinion completely on him. But if he did that the next game and
right twice a day.
yeah. So I think it's more about swallows. It's but it seems to work. But I wouldn't want us to do it every game. I think it worked because it was Bromley in the nicest way, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because they are where they are. They've done very well this season, but the style of their play, in terms of not relying on much pace, it worked because Palmer didn't need to worry about outpacing anybody. So it was, and it did work because they weren't expecting it as well. So I doubt they were expecting it, for him to drop deep. He was kind of doing the bits that most England fans get annoyed about Harry Kane doing, didn't they?
Yeah,
Kind
exactly.
of dropping in, and but we can't deny that as much as it annoys us England fans, it is quite effective when he does it, because he is one of the best passers of the ball. So yeah, it's I think it was good. It was good to see him, I guess, probably correct what I feel has been 3 very poor games from him previous to that. It is another option. It's another gun in the arsenal, isn't it? So, but I think he was very much helped, and I kind of disagree on Jay Wills's comment about Holman, because I think Holman in particular allowed that to happen for Palmer because Holman was so advanced, and so he was in the right areas at the right time. Obviously, I know, Fife, you were right. He had opportunities he should have put away, but let's be honest, there's been so many times when we've not even had a player there. And in fact, actually, that's been my biggest criticism of Palmer, is he hasn't been in those areas to knock that away. And as Craig rightly said, he was never this kind of big star player in terms of scoring all the goals. He's kind of famous because of his Hollywood connections. But I'd still expect a striker to be in those areas, regardless of what level you've played at. And the reason I kind of disagreed with that statement is just because Holman has had two proper. He's not even played 180 minutes yet, I don't think, has he? And he's scored.
No.
He's scored and he's got an assist. So whilst maybe I've misread what Jay said, but I can't see how we can judge him saying straight away that he's not ready when he's actually done what we need him to do at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. Nick, I want to come back to you on the subject of the defence. If we look back at the game at the weekend, there's been a fair amount of criticism, and while possibly not all due, I do think there is a percentage of it that should be shouldered by Ripley personally. But once again, we've seen a situation where a player has the freedom of the football pitch he's playing on to score a goal because our defence is nowhere to be seen. Now, this is becoming a worrying trend, whether it's positional / tactical unawareness or just simply lack of pace. But we keep finding situations where Ripley is being sold down the river, basically, because he's getting absolutely no support at all.
Yeah, that goal was a collective. There were opportunities to stop the player getting down the line, whether by getting a tackle in or taking him out and taking one for the team, as I say. We didn't stop the cross going in, and I don't know whether they do that regular, but that was, in fairness for them, a real hard cross to defend, because it wasn't whizzed across it head height for somebody to come on and power it home. It was hit so high that Ripley, I think he's got partial there, but I don't blame him totally. He didn't seem to get his positioning right, and he then had his sort of back to the player and couldn't get off the ground. And I think that was a problem why he didn't catch it, which he was expecting to. But the guy was left in acres of space. Say, watching it on sort of the clips, it looked like Taff was pointing to the player as the play was developing, and then lost him. And nobody put in a challenge to put him off, to You know, what do defenders do if they can't out jump the player? You give them a little nudge. You just get them off balance. There was nothing. He had the freedom of the pitch to get and tower above in power that had their own. So, yeah, it was definitely a collective. So I don't blame Ripley totally for that goal. He didn't cover himself in glory, but there was lots of things that could have been stopped before it got to that point, especially when we're in the final moments of the game. And I think it was Kilkenny who got brushed past as the move was starting, and he had the chance. Just take him out if you have to. And certainly he was that far back. And I know you don't want to give fouls away against teams like that because they'll pump it in the box and it gives them an opportunity. But it collectively, it was such a poor goal to give away. And the time my phone went across the room and luckily it bounced and didn't hit anything hard. And because I was watching it upstairs, and then I come down later, and my miss said, what happened? As I was shouting and swearing and chucking stuff. It's like, no wonder Holloway was bloody steaming.
Well, thankfully for my device, I was driving home from a meal with my mum, and my journey home had been quite quiet, and then all of a sudden I had 12 unread messages in the Fools chat. So I said to Aidan, who was in the back of the car, something's happened, and I can't decide whether they're all celebrating or all complaining. So I'm not going to listen to them, and I'll wait to do it old school. So I had TalkSport on, who hadn't really spoken about the game the whole time, and then all I get is Adrian Durham go, and it's full time, and Bromley have won the game. And I just went, well, I'm not reading these messages then because I know exactly what's going to be said. I'm sure, I can't remember exactly. I swear to God, if any of these messages, when I do read them, say for fuck's sake Ripley or for fuck's sake Taff, I'm going to go fucking mad because that's what we've had. But so, Mark, the question is, I asked Ben on Friday, what do we learn from the 2 defeats in Salford to stop it happening against Bromley, even though they're a completely different opposition? So now the question is, what do we learn from the 3 defeats in a week to go to what is a very, very difficult place and get our season back on track?
So oddly enough, I was just thinking about what would I do differently for the Notts County game if it were me. If I'm honest, I'd play a conventional 4-4-2. I'd have Holman playing.
Can't do that in 2026, Mark.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's a very simple formation and one that any player of any ability can understand. That's the first thing, okay? And probably quite relevant to go back to basics in some regards. Holloway won't do this because he doesn't favour that formation. I would play Kilkenny and Clark as the midfield pairing. I'd have Oladigbe out on the left wing and let him play as a winger and see what he can do. And as Holman played so well off Palmer and or Drinan as the front two, because you won't be able to play all three, but closer together, I think that could help us get a result.
So would that mean you're playing Joel and Snowden on the right hand side?
Yeah, I would. Okay. I think so. Okay. I think, and as for the other defensive spots, well, obviously, I think the lad from Leicester, whose name Wilson, is it Wilson Brown?
Wilson Brown, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I maybe play him as the left back because he is capable of playing in that position. As for the back pairing, well, hopefully Mabete's back and available.
He has trained.
Yeah, and you probably have to play him alongside Taff. Actually, to be fair, those two would work quite well and have worked quite well. I just don't think that you can play Will Wright in there effectively with Taff. It just doesn't seem to work. But that's what I do. I'm sure others will have many different opinions. But if you're looking at doing something a bit different, and Holloway talks about playing many different styles and many different formations in this division to get the results that you want, well, we might have to go conventional against a Notts County side that typically over the course of the season have been playing some fantastic passing football, which we may or not be able to counter. So why not try something a bit different? I mean, did they win at the weekend with something like 39% possession or something like that? Did I read? So yeah, we've got to do something different. Be brave.
On the subject of team news, Woody, Borland, Holloway said, has got an inflamed knee, if I remember correctly, and has suggested he's out of the game. How much of a loss could that prove to be?
Clark, is Clark back? I think you were discussing it earlier.
Yeah, officially, we believe the answer's yes.
Yeah, okay. As if the EFL don't release a statement
Unless they could
tomorrow.
find a reason to ban him again, yeah.
Well, or they might say, "Oh, we've extended his ban" or something stupid. Um, yeah. I mean, I feel for Borland a little bit because I almost maybe put some subconscious pressure on him because I was so impressed with his first game. I don't. I thought he did okay against Bromley. He was another one that performed quite well in the first half, but did shy away a little bit in the second. But it's a shame because of the way Notts County play. Borland might have been a handy player to have in there tomorrow, but you know, lo and behold, that's what happens sometimes. And when you're playing these heavy congestion fixtures and things like that, you've got to expect there's no recovery. There's not the efficient recovery time they're used to, especially if you haven't played for a while. So we've got to kind of live to expect this. So let's hope that Ollie Clark, who obviously hasn't played a game for the last 7 competitive matches, and I think obviously if he's allowed to play tomorrow, then I think that's a natural replacement. Who goes with it? Obviously, we've got Middlemass. Didn't really have too much of an effect apart from that really good block on I think within the first couple of minutes of coming on. But yeah, I think. But that's why we had to bring in the likes of Borland and Middlemass because we knew that this kind of end of the season was going to be injuries because of the way we play and the intensity that he tries to put in on them, and probably the training program's quite intense as well. So he'll be a miss, but I don't think he'll be as a big a miss as when, let's say, just because it will piss you off, Fifey, as when Clark got injured the first time and he got suspended the second time. You know, I think Clark is I think Clark is a bigger miss when he's not playing. But but it's probably not fair on Borland to also say that because he's only had a couple of games to have an impact.
I understand what we miss when Clark isn't available. I'm just frustrated by the fact that someone who has seemed so important has managed to get himself unavailable for about 50% of our games for one reason or another. And the one thing this squad doesn't need when it's full of injury-prone players is liabilities who are being suspended. And that's why I have him just speak about Drinan as well, because he's done his job. He scores the goals. But as we discussed off camera the other day, yes, his yellow cards may have been reset, but I believe you point out to me if he gets sent off again, it's an instant 4-game ban because of the suspensions he's already had. You know, you can't really be missing Drinan for 4 games. It's going to cause a problem. But Craig, let me come to you. I know we discussed earlier about the amount of away games and stuff, but on tomorrow's game specifically, I do subscribe to the notion you have to play these teams anyway, but this game couldn't come at a worse time, could it? We have an awful record against the current top 7. And we're away from home against a very good Notts County side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I say it all season. I say it in the WhatsApp chat. Every game is a tough game in this league too. We've had some seasons where the quality of the teams have been absolutely shite, but whereas this season it's a lot more competitive. So no, I don't subscribe to that. It's coming at a worse time. I'd argue it's come at the best time. If we get a win against Notts County, what a boost that could be. But then we'd obviously have to follow it up with a win again on Saturday. It's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? It's. I said after we got beat by Salford in the league, I said the next 3 games we need to get 6 points out of the 9. I said. So obviously, you know, we need to win the next 2 games, like I said. So, and if we do that, then hopefully things will look a bit rosier, and we'll still, you know, we still got to make sure that we're within touching distance of the automatic places. We don't want to start sliding down that league, down into the playoffs. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how we line up tomorrow. I mean, because of where we are defensively, would it be better to have Clark in defence with Mabete if he's strong enough, you know, if he's fit enough to start? If we're playing 4 at the back, maybe put Ball into midfield in the role that Nichols has been playing in. I know Ball didn't have a great game in defence on Saturday, but I'd like to see what he can do in that whole sort of kind of holding role in the midfield three. I reckon he'd be quite effective there, and with Kilkenny, and maybe even start Middlemass. Give him a go now that if Borland's out, why not? Because Nichols hasn't been playing well, and it'd be interesting to see what we could do there, and have the three that started against Bromley, the three up front, that started against Bromley, try them again against Notts County. I know it's a different team and slightly different style of football, but it's going to be tough, and like I say, every game is tough. I don't really subscribe to like the records of places, because teams change season on season. Those records are meaningless to me. When you say, we haven't won there in like 7-8 years or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. Every season's different. Every season the teams change from season to season. So I think we should go there with no fear, and hopefully the players have learned their lesson, that if we do start well, that we continue. We can't be brilliant 99% of the game and all, but don't change the way that you're playing, that has been so effective in one half. As long as we don't do that, we've got every chance of coming away with 3 points, I reckon, against Notts County. And their form hasn't been their last. I looked at it, the last 6 games, they've got 8 points from the last 6 games. All right, I think they've won the last 2, but we've got 9. So, or is it the other way around? I can't remember. But they're more or less in the same form as us for the last 6 games. So I think we can go there and get a result.
Well, on the one hand, so there's 3 things I'd like to pull up on what you said there. On the one hand, remind me not to put you in a room with Ian Holloway, because he was spouting about how last season Salford and Bromley took 4 points off us each, whereas this season we took 3 off Bromley and none off Salford. So that means we're actually 1 point better off against those 2 opponents than we were last year, which is a positive. It was very 3 draws equals a win, and I was getting quite wound up about it, to be honest. On the other hand, I do believe you're right. They do, however, have some real quality in their side, and something that I'll discuss with Mark and Nick in a moment, including the likes of Jatta still there, despite rumours of him leaving to League One shores. He scored again at the weekend, and again, that win at home will fill them with confidence as well going into this. So it is going to be fascinating tomorrow, I think, how both teams go at the game. That's for sure. Mark, you said quite rightly, you need to give Bromley their due for the win. Equally, I think we need to give Notts County the respect. They're 1 place and 1 point behind us in the table. They're the home side. And as I was just sort of alluding to there, they have strength in depth themselves.
Yeah, they do. They'll definitely be a threat. The thing is, on our day, we know that we are as well. We're at the right end of the table for them to be equally as worried about us. I'll echo what Woody said earlier. Form is temporary. We just need to get through this little bedding in period for the new players. Amongst a tough run of fixtures, which are coming back to back without, I guess, as Woody again has alluded to, the number of training sessions will be less frequent, and it is a case of play, recover, without much time to get to know your teammates and bond properly and work out those patterns of play that you would expect to see with a good pre-season. However, we're not the only team in that boat. Lots of other teams in this division are going to be in exactly the same position. So we can't use that as an excuse, and it won't stand up for very long if 3 defeats becomes 4, becomes 5. The pressure will be straight back on. But we know what we're getting tomorrow. Notts County will play a slick passing game. Okay, so we need to be set up to counter that. So we're going to have to press. We're going to have to work hard. We're going to have to disrupt what they're doing and then hit them hard on the counter. We've got the players that can do it, and I hope we do turn up tomorrow because it's been a long time since we've got a really good result at Notts County. I think 2018 was the last time we won there. Again, I stand to be corrected
Obviously,
on
we
that.
haven't
But
played them every year in that gap, though. That's the
No.
important thing. And that's why I do agree with what Craig was saying. People will always say, how many times do you hear, oh, they haven't beaten such and such for 52 years, but you find they've only played each other 4 times in that,
no, I know,
that
and
length of time.
each game on its own merit, but they're going to be buoyed by a home crowd that the Meadow Lane is a proper football stadium. It's lovely on the bank of the Trent, and the fact you can see the City ground between the two. The away stand's got it's lovely. It's one of my favourite away grounds to go to.
I'm sure we'll have a lovely time tomorrow.
Well, I hope you do. I hope you do. I'm not so confident at the moment, but then after 3 losses on the road, it's hard to be confident. And you see your injury list and the rest of it, and you think, well, we're going to have to pull one out of our asses. And I hope that we surprise ourselves and have a Crewe away performance. It'd be fantastic if that was the case. But saying that, we could equally get an Accrington away performance, where we got smacked 4-0 that time. So it's, I don't know, but what I'm expecting is a response to the boot up the arse that Holloway gave them post match, and the players do need to take responsibility for that second half. As much as he may have made substitutions that were questionable, in my opinion, the players did not play the same way in that second half. And if they've gone off the game plan, then quite rightfully he's held them bang to right. So let's, I'm not going to be too negative about it. I don't want to, I can't see us winning at this stage, but I would love to be surprised. It's going to be a tough match, Fifey. They like you quite rightly say, the players that they've got on the pitch in any given day are a good starting 11. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what happens.
You're expecting a response, as I think most Swindon fans are. I'm expecting changes. I certainly don't think it'll be the same 11. But Nick, crucially, and this is absolutely vital, and I know it's not breaking news at all, but it is absolutely vital for tomorrow. No McGoldrick, because he's not there anymore. That can only be a positive for Swindon. I'm so fucking pissed off about how many times his name was on the score sheet against us. But on a more serious note, Nick, this might be 6th versus 7th going into this game, but I still think this is 2 big hitters in League Two. And should Swindon come away with the positive result, could this still be a statement performance and result to kind of catapult our season back into action?
Yeah, I mean, even with 2 league defeats on the trot, we're sitting 6th. So just looking at the league table, and anyone in that top 7, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams have got games in hand on MK. Forget Bromley for the minute, because they've managed to get a bit of a gap. But and it's a big if. If everybody wins that game in hand on MK Dons, they will be down to 7th. And everyone's saying, oh, MK Dons are really, really good. They're one of the best teams in the league. So it is that tight that, a couple of wins and makes a difference. We've had a couple of defeats, which has dropped us down from 2nd, 3rd, down to 6th. So, and all those teams are going to be taking points off of each other. So, yes, I'm saying we desperately need a win. We need to at least get a draw out of this game. Another defeat will hurt us. But it's all to play for. In that top 7, I think you could argue anyone from 2 to 7 could take one of those automatic places. And it's just a case of seeing if we can put a run together as we have previously. And all the teams will be looking to do that. And I mean, some are already in it. Bromley and Salford have won 5, drawn 1 in their last 6, which is, phenomenal form. That's what we need to get back to. We do that, and we're way back in the mix. So if we can start with a win against Notts County, and there's no reason why we can't go there and beat them. Similarly, there's no reason why they won't get another home win. So it's going to be that tight. I think it'll be a really tight game. And it's something that, we got to have that desire, and whether it's difficult to say. Does Holloway's rant at players to the media after game, does that help, or does it hinder? I don't know. I guess you need to know the mentality of the people in that dressing room. Are they just going to, shrink into their shells because they're scared to do anything because they'll get a bollocking from Holloway, or they're going to be up for it and open and brave enough to play how we should be playing. And I think that's it. That's the job he's got to do now before the game is get them up for that game and to understand exactly what they should be doing.
Woody, I know it's the basic fundamentals, but when you're going into a game where it is two on their day good footballing sides, and that's what this game tomorrow is, it's two good sides, could the game be settled simply by what's the best way of saying it, who wants it more, who battles, who scraps, who's willing to do the dirty stuff that little bit more? Because again, these two sides could play each other off the park on any given day. But it's maybe tomorrow is just about that fight, desire, and grit.
Yeah, I think you're not far different from what I would say on that 5 feet. To be fair, I think they've got a very talented bunch of players. There's a few, even the players that didn't necessarily do well at Swindon have gone on and gone to Notts County and done quite well. So it is a difficult one. I can't quite recall what Notts County's running has been recently in terms of how many games they've played at home and how many, are they in a congested fixture list or anything like that?
Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, thank you. I'll continue my point because if they've had quite a run of games recently, then they're going to start feeling fatigued and all of that as well. So maybe they'll have to be forced into making some sports science-led changes as well. So
just on that, they have only played 3 games in January. New Year's Day they lost at home to Accrington. Saturday the 17th they won away to Crawley, and then last weekend they won at home to Crewe.
Okay, so they had quite a big break like we did then. So with the exception of obviously we're playing Tuesdays at the moment as well. So God, that makes it probably a little bit more difficult because are they going to be fatigued or are they going to be lower in match fitness? It could be one or the other. But no, I think to be fair, maybe this has come at it's the wrong time to be playing a team at that level, but the right kind of team we need to be playing against because it does give us an opportunity to kind of not have to necessarily adapt to the way somebody else is playing, which I've always said with Holloway, especially this season, is admirable in one way, but he does a lot of adapting based on the opposition. He does that a lot, and that's why he tinkers and changes it quite a lot. However, some of our best games, I feel, have been when it doesn't look like he's done that. For example, I mean, we can't keep alluding to it, but the first game that Smith was out, and all of a sudden we played liquid football the day that game after. So. But with 2 teams, Notts County will open up a bit more. They'll have to because they're at home. They will play slightly more expansive football, which could play into our hands. Whereas Bromley, when you compare that to someone like Bromley, because of the way Bromley play, they're not always open and expansive anyway, because they're all about getting the ball wide, getting the ball into the box, and then blocking you from scoring in terms of like almost 2 banks of 4 in old school terms. So it might play in our favour. Although it doesn't normally worry me, I don't tend to worry about stats that we haven't beaten them in X because people's squads change every year. So if it was the same squad as it was 8 years ago, I'd be concerned anyway. But I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm a bit gutted I'm not going, to be fair, because I generally think we are going to have a good game of football.
We didn't convince you to come.
No. Well, I'm working in Bristol tomorrow, and I'm not driving, so it's kind of relying on me being back in time, etc. But yeah, there was something else I was going to say on that. But genuinely, I think the biggest battle it will be the battle of the forwards. If Drynan can somehow get a goal in that first half, we might be okay. But he scored 2 against them at home, and they scored 2 to equal, and then we drew 2-2 with them. So, and obviously Jatta was on the score sheet. And the funny thing is Jatta then for me, was doing what Drynham has been doing kind of the last few games for us. Jata did absolutely fuck all that game,
Yeah.
except for score the equaliser. And whereas Drynham was a complete different player that game. I think that was kind of the start of his almost like proper. He was almost scoring a goal every game at that point. So yeah, I think it is a battle of the forward line, which is why it's very important that Holloway picks a forward line that is going to attack and is going to have that emphasis in the press. Because they're all a bunch of footballers, and how do you play against footballers? You press them. So yeah, I think we're going to have to, and I think Mark might have alluded to that a little bit earlier as well, in terms of this could be an opportunity for us to get our pressing game back on, because we're now playing a side that don't like to piss around with it, that do piss around with it at the back.
Okay, well, let's see how confident you all are that Swindon can turn their fortunes around tomorrow in the East Midlands. Mark, I will start with you. Your score prediction, please.
I did put in the chat earlier that I thought we'd end up losing 3-1, and I think that just largely depends on the team that he puts out, having listened to everyone else's sort of opinions on what we should and could do tomorrow. So I'm probably slightly more confident now, having based on what everyone said. So I'll revise and I'll go one each.
Okay, Nick.
I'm going to be positive. I'm going to go. We'll go there and win 2-1.
Lovely stuff, Craig.
2-2.
Okay, Woody.
I don't recall the last time I did this, but I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw.
Okay. I've been in a real difficult position, because whenever I go, I never like to assume that we're not going to get the result. My head's been telling me we're going to get a 3-1 loss since Saturday, but my heart is telling me that we can win, especially after John called me out for having a poor record, and I pointed out we win 50% of the games I actually go to. Although my head is telling me we lose 3-1, my heart is saying we win 2-0. So it'll be somewhere in that region. I'm not entirely sure where. Just before we talk women's side of the game with Woody, if you missed us, if you don't get the emails from Swindon Town Marketing, you missed us talking about it last week, and you've been living under a rock because everyone's now talking about it on social media. If you're not aware, then let me tell you that because of Blue Monday last week, there is a discount on the tickets for, I want to say Harrogate, but that's not right, is it? Who are we playing at home next week? Anyone? Someone?
Barrow.
Woody's mean Barrow, thank you. Harrogate's the next away one, isn't it? There is a sale on, and it's cheap tickets for Barrow. So if you're unsure whether to go, this would be a good opportunity to, because you're getting a reduced rate on your tickets. I believe it's 26% off because we're in the year 2026. So take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah, nothing says like beat those January Blues than going to watch Swindon against Barrow.
Exactly. Woody, we've got obviously the three usual suspects to talk about, but I don't know which way you want to go with this. We've either got the cup exploits of Swindon, or we've got the ridiculously tight division that Bassett and Corsham are currently tangled in. Where do you want to start?
I think we start with Swindon.
Let's start with Swindon.
There's probably not too much to say on that one, really. Obviously, they've played those probably the two hardest games they're going to play all season. They've played them one week after another, or is it one? Well, it's definitely one game after another, isn't it? So yeah, it's So I think, was it 3-0? It was to Bournemouth.
3-0, yeah.
Is that a terrible result against a side that are as good as Bournemouth? I don't think so. I think they should be proud of the run they've gone on. I echo what I did hear snippets of Richwood's post-match, but it's that old cliche now they can focus on the league a bit more. But for me, they wouldn't have wanted to lose that competition. They wouldn't have wanted to go out of that competition, or the FA Cup for that matter. But again, as I said, to lose 3-0 against Bournemouth, who are arguably almost, from what memory, kind of almost running away with the league above, similar record to what Swindon have got in their league. But no shame, but let them refocus now and get back to get back to the real business, which is hopefully getting promoted out of that league.
Yeah, and on that, it's worth saying, and we kind of said the same thing despite the defeat to Charlton. It's been an incredible run, and much like the men's team, which can't be understated, they have played and knocked out in all the competitions they've been in a number of higher league opposition, which does show that there is a great blueprint and a great foundation with which to build on for what we hope will be a successful year this year and going into 1, 2, 3, 5 years into the future.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think getting promoted this year was always going to be the aim for them. I think anything else was a bonus. My biggest query would be is obviously when they do get promoted, if they get promoted, what players do they keep hold of? This type of run won't go unrecognised if the run they're on at the moment, let's say it continues. So there's going to be players that are like, their heads are going to be turned potentially. We've all said numerous times that we're quite surprised. Well, knowing her personally, I'm not, but anybody in a normal situation would wonder how they've managed to hold on to the likes of Annie Colston and things like that with the goal scoring record that she's got.
Yeah.
So, is that a reason that they went out and bought Bedwell, signed Bedwell? I think that's her name. Who played? I think she played her full debut
s.i.e,
yesterday.
yeah.
So it's so that'll be the big question, because if we get promoted, we'll be up in the big players league for this level. But let's get there first, eh?
Absolutely. It's all about getting there first. But it's a shame, as you say, it's a shame about the result, but huge credit to Swindon Town Women for what they have managed to achieve in both cup competitions this season. It certainly hasn't gone unnoticed by the fan base, and it's very much appreciated the pride that they've all shown in getting as far as they have in the competitions. Let's turn our attentions then to what's going on between Bassett, Corsham, and everyone else in that division, because I actually did some research today because I got very tongue-tied and worried when you didn't turn up on Friday, and I was very concerned that I was saying the wrong stuff, and very thankfully I'd remembered everything and I did it all fine.
For the record, I listened back. You were spot on.
Thank you. The league table is incredible at the moment, and I know that you can give us a bit more information about the results at the weekend, but Bassett have gone top of the table courtesy of goal difference. But for anyone who's unaware, let me just read out that I don't even have to do the whole league. It's sort of the top 7 that's interesting. But Bassett, 26 points, goal difference of 30. Mangotsfield, 26 points, goal difference of 27. Corsham in third, 25 points. Then you've got Whitchurch on 24 points, Bitton on 23, Cirencester on 20, although they have played a lot of games more than everyone else. Bath in 7th on 20. Most teams have played kind of 10, 11 games, Cirencester on 14. For the respect of the other teams, Gloucester City on 14, Downend on 11, Stockwood on 6, Poulton on 3, and Brislington on 1. But Woody, that's insane, top of the division. Like, realistically, with the exception of Cirencester because of how many games they've played, anyone between Bassett in first and Bath in 7th can realistically still look at that and think they can win the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bath were they weren't necessarily a surprise as such, but they were the big sayers yesterday. I think they recorded a 3-1 win against second place Mangotsfield, which definitely puts them back in the conversation. I will add that some of their players were playing against my team on Saturday. But yeah, it's it does swing it, like you said. That, I mean, Siren, I feel for me it's too late for them. Like you've said, they've played, obviously, with thanks to their really nice pitch up at Siren, they've managed to play a lot of their home games already. But I got a feeling they might be one of those sides that obviously probably won't win it, but they'll take points off others and potentially decide which way it could go. Which as we saw with Corsham's result yesterday, it wasn't a great result for them. That's in my eyes for somebody who's chasing the title. But then it wasn't a very good result for Bassett a couple of weeks ago either, to draw with Siren for somebody who's chasing the title. So yeah, I think Siren, as good a players they've got some great players there. I do feel that they will be helping decide the title rather than winning it. But yeah, Lali's side again, top. They've topped the table. They've now got the momentum. They've now got the. I hate this phrase because I hate it when people kept using it about Arsenal in the Premier League. But you could start to look at that it could be theirs to lose, in terms of the fact that they haven't lost a game yet. They're they one game away from halfway through the season, and they haven't lost a game yet. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's good. I mean, it puts a lot onto to Valentine's weekend, doesn't it? That we're all that some of
I'm
us are going
so
to watch.
looking forward to that. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, so that's going to be a huge game now. But then Mangotsfield only losing yesterday, but as me and I'm pretty sure looking at the panel as well, me and Craig have definitely always said we'd much rather have points on the board than games. And Mangotsfield, although they lost yesterday, they'll still be looking at that saying we're only not top because of goal difference. So I haven't looked at Mangotsfield's fixtures yet, but if they've got Stockwood, Polton, and Brislington once or twice in their remaining fixtures, they could be looking at those to try and get some to try and get their goal difference up. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting league to be at. It's what I would want it if I was still coaching. Well, would I want it if I was still coaching in that league? But it's kind of what you want from a league, isn't it? You want it to be close. You don't want there to be any outright winners halfway through the season. I think part of the problem with that league last season was Gloucester City at this point had started to run away with it. So it kind of meant that everybody was battling for a second place, which meant they couldn't go up anyway. Whereas this season, as I think me and you spoke offline, Fifey, before, this season's different. Finishing second could mean something this season. So it could be massively different.
Well, in my attempts to live produce this stuff, Woody, I have very quickly loaded up their fixture list, just to give you an idea. So it's Cup weekend this coming weekend, which we'll obviously discuss a bit more on Friday's show. But they host Bitton. Then they host Downend in the league the weekend after. Then it's Cheltenham Town Women Reserves in the Cup on Valentine's weekend before hosting Corsham.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So
Corsham, just to clarify, that means Corsham play Bassett and Mangotsfield in successive weekends.
Yeah.
What was it Craig was saying? You have to play them sometime.
Yeah, time for Rich to start earning his money, isn't it? It's yeah, but it's okay because after they've played Bassett and Mangotsfield one after each other, they've then got Polton and Downend before they play Bassett again. So it's yeah.
What a league this is going to be! What a league!
Yeah. Yeah,
you obviously mentioned it wasn't a great result for Corsham at the weekend, but a high-scoring win again for Bassett. As we say, they're now top on goal difference. They've only played 3 games in January, but they have averaged 5 goals per game.
Yeah, the fixtures have fell quite nicely for them in January, haven't they? I wasn't on Friday, obviously, but I would definitely would have said that the Brislington game was probably going to be a 6 or 7. So it's we're getting there with the 8. So it's obviously dear friend Maddie got notched a hat trick as well. So that's always decent. Bit disappointed Bry didn't get player of the match or score a goal, which seems to be the pattern nowadays for Bry, doesn't it? She either gets player of the match or scores a goal. And also one player that I was really, I guess, kind of pleased to see at Bassett when she signed was Megan Young. She got herself on the score sheet twice as well, so she's kicked off her account as well with Bassett. So and then Hannah, obviously scoring 15 minutes into her return. So brilliant stuff.
Yeah, she had her first minutes the other day. We were myself and Barry there to watch it, and now she's got her first goals back as well. So fantastic stuff or her. Okay, well that covers all the normal stuff. We will obviously preview all the weekend action on Friday. But before I let the gentlemen go, and while we've got Craig, I wanted to have Mark here as well, but he had to shoot, unfortunately. While we've got Craig, there's one more topic I'd like to touch on while we're into injury time, if I may, gentlemen. This time next week, the transfer window will be closed. Yes, we are at that point already. It closes, if you're unaware. They're doing this really shitty thing that everyone hates, where they're doing it at 7 p.m. on a Monday night. Like, go back to the 11 o'clock days. We used to love it. We would all be wearing our ties and staying up late talking and waiting for that. Don't go to bed yet. Tweet from the club accounts and all that. But Craig, I'm going to start with you. Holloway has been suggesting that there is stuff happening in the background. He did give Mr. Hawes a kind of brush-off answer again, saying, well, when he was asked about targets, he said, well, that's a bit of a private thing. I can't really tell you what's going on. But whether it's 1, 2, 3, 5 or 10, where do you believe Swindon need to and will strengthen in the next week, if they do anything?
Well, obviously we need a left wing back, don't we? I think we need another option in midfield as well, but I don't know if that's what Holloway's gonna look at. I think Nichols has been pretty disappointing. Kilkenny's been off form lately as well. I think we need a bit more, some more options there, especially if Clark gets suspended again or something, But yeah, I can't. I mean, we've done well. I said earlier about I'm really happy with how we've, not just the players we've recruited, but how we've done it. We were getting recruitment done early. We did it this window. We did it in the last window as well, as opposed to previous seasons when normally around this time and maybe for about a month after the window closed, we'd be scraping the barrel trying to get whatever cropped player in we could on the cheap. So I don't think we're going to get much in. Maybe one player. I'd imagine that Holloway, whoever he had lined up, and he would have had them lined up way before the transfer window opened, he would have got them by now. But that's just my opinion. I've got no insight on that. But it would be good to get a couple more signings in to push us through for that final. For the final push to get into the automatics. So, I don't really think there's anywhere else really we need to strengthen. I mean, apart from Glatzel, we haven't really got any other long-term injuries, have we? I don't think. And Smith, obviously Harry Smith, but yeah, I don't think we've got any others. So I would like us to get a couple of players in those positions, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is how it will be with what we've got now.
And Nick, when Ian was asked about this in his pre-match, he was asked whether he would like another young player or whether he was looking for another experienced player for balancing the squad as much as anything. And he said it all very much depends on the character of the player and how good the young player is. Do you think, with one loan spot still available, we'll be looking for an experienced pro, or do you think he'll be looking for another kind of diamond in the rough like Monroe was?
Initially you would think we need an experienced player to come straight in who can step into the side seamlessly. We thought we had that with Taff, and he's been certainly poor the last 2 or 3 games. And he's sort of dropped off a bit. He hasn't been as good as I thought he would be, because I thought he was going to make the big difference defensively. Similarly, you could say you bring a good young player in from a Prem side or a Championship side, but whether he can come straight in and slot straight into the side, I think if that's what Holloway said, he's right. It's got to be the right personality. It's got to be someone who's got, obviously, the right attributes of a decent footballer, but the right mindset, who's going to come in and do a job. I don't think it matters whether he's young or experienced or an older player. as long as he can do the job. So, in whether that player's out there who would come to us, that's obviously what they've got to work on. But I agree with Craig. It is that left wing back spot that is a bit of a problem. Kirkman, obviously, he's only just come back from injury. In his form is a bit up and down from what we've seen. Tom Wilson-Brown can play there. But that is probably the spot. The rest of it, I don't think we're that short of players, to be honest. It's just getting the right combinations in there. And with Clark back in the fray, that gives us that extra bite in midfield. And there are quite a few options to move the midfield around in change players.
The forgotten man, of course, Nick. Do you think, and we know he's only on kind of individual fitness training at the minute, there's no sign that he'll be imminently back in the fold, but do you think as and when Butterworth comes back, do you think he could still have a big say this season? Because he's a hell of a player if he gets back to what he was.
I don't think he's going to be back quick enough and match fit quick enough. He might be available for the last couple of games, only from what was sort of said with his injury. And I think there's a difference with just being on the grass, doing a bit of running, and actually getting fit enough to take a tackle, to get hit, to have a full impact on the game. I don't think he'll be back early enough to make a big impact. So no, I don't think he will be a factor.
Heaven forbid it comes to it, but I do think he could be a big player if it ends up being a playoff campaign, though, that's for sure. Woody.
Don't talk playoff. Don't mention the PO word.
Woody,
pose.
No pose. We know our elusive majority shareholder / chairman is back in the country. Mr. Holloway seems very excited at the prospect of this. You don't think he dare sell a major component of this promotion-chasing squad in the last week, do you?
No, I don't think we're selling. I mean, if we're selling, as much as I question his business-like ability sometimes, if we're selling, I don't think it'll be for stupid money. It'll be for money that we can't turn down. Similar in some ways to, I guess, it'll be completely unexpected, like Monroe was in one way or another. I think the only business we're going to be doing is a lone player coming in. I think financial fair play is going to have too much of an impact, because and I agree with Craig. I love the squad we've actually assembled, but my issue is at the moment is our crowds haven't rapidly increased, so we must be, unless we've got some shadow investors somewhere, we must be on the borderline for our wage budget. So I think it'll be a lone player. I think it'll be a left-sided player, because that's what's been spoken about most in the post-match, about how much he misses Finley Monroe and how much he,
Old Acres really missing him, apparently.
Well, I'm almost with Holloway's talks on Finley Monroe, I'm almost at the same level as when Kennedy was claiming Freckleton was his son-in-law. It is. But the only other thing I was thinking about, and it's funny that Mike's mentioned there, if it's a lone player, I do generally think it's either going to be a youngster again, like Finley Monroe, or a player that is kind of the end of the academy era, so to speak, or it's going to be somebody in Delaney's position, not position literally, but in where they're not going to they couldn't shift him on in January, they can't shift him on for money, so they're just going to try and claim some of his wages back with a loan spell. But the issue I've got there then is there a left back available or coming near the end that is like that? Because left backs are a breed, especially attacking left backs. There's not many.
Andy Robinson's available, I'm led to believe.
Who?
The Liverpool left back.
Oh, is it Robertson? Why do I always think it was Robertson?
No. What did I say?
Didn't you say Robinson? Or you might have said Robertson. I might not have heard it properly.
No, Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, yeah. Let's be realistic. I mean, at least we wouldn't have to pay his wages. But it's, but yeah, they are quite hard to come by, which is why you'll often find that they are the diamonds in the roughs. Those good attacking left backs. But the same thing though, I don't. As much as I think we do need it, I'm not pushing the panic button yet, because I'm for every two bad performances, Kirkman's put in many more good ones. So I'm not gonna lose my shit just yet. And Wilson Brown will do the role if we need to be a bit more defensive from there. So we do need another option out there. But I don't think it's a panic station situation, because I do think we've got adequate cover there to see us through to the rest of the season. I think a lot of us fans are kind of just reacting to this 3-game bad run at the moment, because early in January, when we heard, if we had been told on the 1st of January or 2nd of January, after we just beaten Gillingham, Munro's gone back, I don't think we still would have been like, shit, we're losing one of our best players from a system point of view. But all of us would have been there going, but we got Kirkman, so it should be okay. We got Wilson Brown coming back, it should be okay. I think a lot of this reaction at the moment is just because of the bad form we're in. And I'm not putting our bad form down just to one player leaving the club. I think me and Craig have discussed it offline on the WhatsApp group before. If we're relying our whole season on one player, we don't deserve to go up.
It's not. We're relying on two. One that's not here anymore, and one that's not reliable enough to play more than 5 games without disappearing.
Yeah, and one that only now scores every other game instead of every game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got the idea. Craig, final word on you, and it's picking up basically on that point, but mirroring it, something that Ian Holloway said. He pointed out that last year's league winners won 24 league games. We've won 14 already this year, and we've got 20 games to go. So he has, and I suppose it's slightly tongue-in-cheek, but with an element of realism, he said, we can afford to only win 50% of our remaining games and still achieve the success objective of this season. Now, I appreciate a lot of what, particularly like I have to do in terms of the questions, is similar to what newspaper writers have to do in terms of clickbait to get people involved. I have to use hyperbole to get people involved in the conversation. But do you think that's a realistic outlook? And maybe for those who are, and I'm as guilty as anyone of this outside of hosting duties, for those who are jumping on the back of 3 defeats after what was a decent run, it's just time to calm down a little bit and take a view of the situation. He pointed out, and this is the manager in him, he said, I want to thank the boys. I'm proud of the boys for the position they've got us into up to this point. Yes, I'd like to be higher in the table, but when you look at how tight it is, one win moves you X amount of positions anyway. Do you think it is time for everyone to just take a step back and a wider view and to calm down a little bit?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being concerned about our form, especially with the teams we've played, even though they are good teams, and it's not a shock that they've beaten us, but you want to be beating those teams if you want to go up as well. So I think we've won more than 50% of our games already, so there's no reason why we can't go on.
I believe he's still over. I believe Holloway himself has still got over a 50% win record at Swindon since he took over. Possibly. I imagine that's probably the case.
We've got every chance. I don't think we should panic, but we need to start turning things around. It's the wrong sort of time of year to sort of start losing form, really. We only have to look at Walsall last season, what happened with them, and
by the way, has anyone watched Holloway's pre-match yet? Have any of you watched it? So he makes this exact point that Craig's making, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but it did make me laugh. He said, no one in the history of football's ever won the league at this point in the season, have they? And then he just looks at the camera and smiles. You know full well he's taking the piss out of Walsall when he says it.
Yeah, which is fair enough. But I honestly think that after seeing the way, not Walsall, you put Walsall in my head now, Salford played against us and Bromley, I think those two will go ahead. And all right, yeah, he says it is close where win here, win there, but that's not going to be the case in a couple of months. That it's close now. We were saying a few months ago, there was only 6 points between first and 12th. Well, I think it's something like 15, 13, 14 points now, and that gap will get bigger. If Salford and Bromley start to build a gap, which I think they will, then we've got to just make sure that we are still within the mix. So yeah, it might be open now, but I think in a month or two's time, that might not be the case. So yeah, we
on
need
your point there, Craig. The gap between Bromley in first and Gillingham in 12th is 17 points.
70. Yeah, well, there you go. So that gap will get bigger, not just from first to that point to 12th, but
and then it's
from
9. It's 9 from MK Dons in third to Gillingham in 12th.
Yeah, so there we go. It's so now's the time while it is close to get back into good form and make sure that we're up there. But yeah, I've still got confidence in this team. I've got confidence in Holloway, and I believe we can do that. But now's the time to start kicking on and getting back to winning ways. And we want to get out of this little mini rut that we've got into.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you as always for your time this Monday evening. It's very much appreciated. For those who are travelling to Notts County, I hope to see many of you there and say hello. There'll be plenty of the Fools dotted about in Nottingham. Please do say hello if you see us. It's much appreciated all the time. If you are coming, whether you see us or not, please travel safe. Let's be loud, be proud, and as Craig says, let's stop the run before it becomes a rut, because no one wants that. Let's have this statement victory and get our season back on track. And for those watching it on telly, I hope you enjoy the game. We will be back on Friday to review everything that happens tomorrow and look ahead to a busy weekend for Swindon Town and all of our featured women's sides. But from everyone at FRI HQ, including those of us you've seen on the screen tonight, have a fantastic week. Thank you for the comments and watching along. Good night.
Fools rushing. Yeah, we're back again, like mates down the pub. Heart on sleeve, never tame. Yeah, from the chanting in the stands to the tackles flying in. Home and away, red blood, white shirt, where the fools rush in. Passion, debates, laugh, rants, late nights, Woody Bear, Nick Rich, Walter Kieran side by side, Craig and Ned, Joe and Mark, Art, Gary in the dark, and now we got Barry in. Yeah, the gang's all in.
Fools rushing like we're chasing one more win. We'll make you laugh, make you cry, feel happy, feel angry inside. Fools rushing like a last minute swing, just like back in Swindon Town.
We go up, we fall down. From the goals that lift the roof, unit grows when it goes wide. We argue, we agree, but you're all here on the right. By jumping in the chat, every story, every stat. Thank you for watching, for listening, commenting back. Save our tires on the board, and us recruitment in our corner. This is our club, our crowd. Turn it up a little louder.
Fools rushing like we're chasing one more win. We'll make you laugh, make you cry, feel happy, feel angry inside. Fools rushing like a last minute swing, just like back in Swindon Town.
We go up, we fall down. passion.